Hey guys, it's Damie. I'm not sure how much of the previous video that I just recorded will end up in this video. I'm sort of new to this whole thing, so it's a little bit awkward, a little bit uncomfortable, but I just recorded a 10-minute video and it's just sort of me talking, so I kind of felt like it was going nowhere, kind of like this one. But I adjusted the lighting a little bit, and yeah, let's just kind of start over. In the previous 10-minute video, I was kind of telling you about the day that I had today, and like I said, it was a bad day, and I know I always say that, but they really have been pretty bad. And of course, what do you expect from, tales from the street? Sometimes you do have good days, but they're rare. So I was thinking about making a story time video about how I started flying a sign. I'm going to save the stories about how it got to that point for another time, because I don't really feel comfortable talking about all of it just yet, and for reasons that will be revealed if you continue to watch my videos. But let's just start at the first day I ever flew a sign. I never thought I would end up living like this or doing this. I will say it's very degrading. I will say that it's taught me a lot of humility, a lot of empathy, a lot of sympathy. It's taught me a lot. And something that it did do also that sort of surprised me and seems counterintuitive is that it really strengthened my faith in a higher power. I'm going to go ahead and use the word God just because it's shorter. But a lot of people have negative connotations attached to that word. And I will just sort of try to sum it up by saying that my idea of God is beyond all of the words in the human vocabulary. It is beyond even, I think, our understanding that comes before words. You know how you have a thought in your mind and then you try to articulate it into words. Not only do the words not suffice, but our understanding doesn't even suffice. And I kind of like it like that, because I feel like if I could wrap my little human mind around the whole situation, that it wouldn't really be very impressive. It's just, it is, it is everything, and it's beyond thought, and that's a good thing. So, that is what I mean when I say God. However, I do believe and specify all the deities of light and mercy. I believe that my God, or God, is the light, and that most of the religions are paths to this light, and I sort of believe in all the religions as long as they get you to the light. But I will say that the one that has shown itself in my life the most, and the one that I am most familiar with and relate to the most, is Jesus Christ. I will say that my favorite character in the Bible after Jesus is Mary Magdalene. And that's what I love about Christianity and Jesus is Jesus was out on the street like us. You know, he was out with the sinners and the screw-ups, the crazy people, the whores, the alcoholics, you know, and I love that. That's real to me. So anyway, back to the first day that I flew a sign. I got off on a little bit of a tangent there, but so for one reason or a million, I ended up in Austin. I'm from Louisiana, and let's just say that it wasn't what I thought it was going to be at all. So I wasn't prepared for the reality of what the situation was in Austin, so it was a bit of a shock. And I do have a lot of issues. I have a lot of mental health issues. I have disabilities, disadvantages, diseases. I also have that going on physically too. I have some handicaps. I have some serious diseases, and just I'm not well on any level, and it's pretty freaking bad. And in Louisiana it was impossible to get help, and that was one of the things that I came to Texas for, is to see if I could get any sort of help. And it does seem like that is available, and I am making progress in that area. But let me just say that for someone who is struggling physically and mentally, it can be very overwhelming, figuring out the whole system, getting into the system. It takes a lot of mental and physical exertion and effort and understanding, and you know, I'm a lot higher functioning than a lot of people, so I can imagine how many people fall through the cracks altogether. I have pretty much fallen through the cracks, but I still have hope. But, you know, if I was any worse off, I don't think I could have that hope. So, there's that. So anyway, here I am, you know, in Austin. It's a big culture shock. Don't know anybody here. Staying in a tool shed. It belongs to a friend of a friend, and it's just not what I expected at all. And I was told that I could stay here as long as I wanted, no problems, no questions asked, and that has turned out to not be so true. And you know, there are two sides to every story, so I'm not really going to go into that too much. I'm just going to skip ahead to the house, what it was like. So I was here, and the owner was here, of course. The older's 18-year-old son was here at the time, and he was renting one of the rooms to an old friend of his named Patricia, and she was a severe alcoholic with a lot of mental issues, and she really didn't stay here that much. She just sort of used it as a crash pad. She lived on the street, and you know, whenever she got tired of living on the street or got too dirty or whatever, she would just kind of stumble back here and crash in her bed for a day or two, recoup, take a shower, whatever, you know. So I got to know Patricia, and she told me about flying a sign. I had never considered it before, but, you know, she was telling me about how she and her boyfriend did it, and how, you know, they could feed themselves and whatnot by doing this thing. And she said that she would show me one day if I was interested, and I said, you know, I might be. Let me think about it. And so she wasn't around one day when I decided that I wanted to go ahead and do it. So I made a sign, and I think it was actually like a piece of notebook paper, and it just probably really to where you couldn't even read it. It said, "First time flying a sign, and hopefully the last," which is kind of a silly thing to put on the sign, but that's what I wrote. And now that I think about it, I think I actually got kind of dressed up. Like, I was so ashamed about going out and doing it that I wanted to look nice. So, like, I, you know, did my hair and put some makeup on and picked out an outfit that wasn't really fancy or dressed up, but, you know, I thought it made me look nice, and I had some cute little boots that I put on, and went out and held my little sign up, and people just looked at me like I was crazy. And I didn't make anything. That's right, I didn't make anything. And I didn't even try that long. I think I was out there for like 15 minutes or half an hour, and people were just looking at me, and I was embarrassed. And I think some people thought I was a prostitute because I was kind of dolled up, and I got weirded out by how some of the men were looking at me. I'm used to it now, but at that point I was just like, oh God, what am I doing? So I kind of gave up like right away, and I went to this gas station that was across the street, and I was like, can you help? You know, I'm trying to just get some money together for gas and food, which was true. That's what I needed money for. And people were just like, no. And this one guy was like, here's $1. And so I was like, okay, I failed at this, and I went home, back to the tool shed that I call home. When I say home, that's what I mean. And I told Patricia about it, and she was like, girl, no. You know, first of all, the place that I had picked was like, nobody flies there, and there's a reason that they don't. And so she was just like, you did everything wrong. And so, you know, a few days later, she and Mike, you know, gathered me up, and I don't remember what my sign said, but it didn't say, you know, first time flying. And they took me down to the spot that, you know, I still fly, and parked my truck in the 7-Eleven parking lot. Patricia said that was just fine, and Patricia stayed in the truck and drank. I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't even smoke cigarettes, and that's a really rare thing on the street. A lot of people, they don't believe me, but I'm allergic to cigarettes, and I don't really like the way alcohol makes me feel. Same with drugs. I haven't found any that really work for me. Painkillers do help mentally and physically, but they're too much of a pain to get, you know. I don't have access to the doctors that would give them to me, so whatever, it is what it is. I don't see how people drink, and especially in this heat, but they do. They sit out there in this heat, and they fly their sign, and they just get hammered, and it seems like it would just make you sick as a dog, but everybody's different. Anyway, parked the truck at the 7-Eleven parking lot, and went and flew a sign, you know, and I was making a couple of dollars, so I was in a real good mood, and oh boy, you know, I'm going to be able to get cat food, and I'm going to be able to eat today, yada, yada, yada. And I look over, and there's a cop by the truck, and I had gotten a big gulp, you know, a thirst buster from the 7-Eleven, so I went over there, and I was going to go refill and kind of see what was going on. And I went in, and I saw this little Asian man standing by the door looking out at my truck, and I saw Patricia in the truck talking to the cop, and then I saw a tow truck pull up, and I still hadn't gotten my refill, so I was heading out the door, and the Asian guy was like, stop, did you pay for that drink? And I was like, yeah, I paid for it earlier. I was going to get a refill, but I need to go check on my truck. And he was like, no, they're going to tow your truck. And I was like, no, please don't, you know. And the tow truck driver had come up at that point, and I was like, can I please, you know, go move my truck? And he was like, yeah, go move your truck. I'm not going to tow it if you're here. And that really made the Asian guy, who was the owner of the store, obviously, made him mad. And he was like, you've been here for 7 hours, and I hadn't even been there an hour. And I was like, no, sir, you know. And he was like, you're banned, and don't ever come back in here, or I'll call the cops, and they're gonna tow your truck. And anyway, they let me move my truck, and the cop was really nice, and I was like, is this illegal? And he said, no, you know, but just go home and be more careful next time. The cops have always been so super nice to me. There's been a couple of, you know, occasions where they're like, you need to get off the drugs and quit drinking and get off the street. And I'm like, officer, I don't do drugs or drink, you know, I've just got a lot of mental and physical problems. And they're just like, that's what everybody says, you need to get out of here and get off the street. And it's not technically illegal, but I'm not about to argue with any cop. When they say go, I just go. So, but, you know, usually they're really nice, and they're like, hey, you've got to do what you got to do. I understand. You're not out prostituting yourself. You're not out stealing. You don't cause any problems. You know, we recognize you. You've been out here for a few months. We know you're not a troublemaker, so, you know, it's all good. You got to do what you got to do, and we understand where you're coming from. So, hats off to the Austin Police Department. I appreciate you guys. And so, yeah, I moved my truck and didn't go back to the 7-Eleven, and it is stressful. Like I've said in my last videos, you have to worry about your car being towed constantly. Another story time that I can tell you guys is when someone sabotaged my truck, and I almost died on the interstate. So you gotta watch your back, and it's difficult enough regularly, much less having to watch your back, plus keep an eye out on your truck, you know. It's just one more thing to worry about, but thank God I have it. Thank you, Mom. It's actually my mom's truck. Oh, you guys, I am so tired. I've had just a string of really bad days on and off the street. I hate going out there. I have to force myself, and it's been harder and harder to make myself go out there, and I've been getting out there later and later and making less and less money. I've got to get out there earlier tomorrow. It's just, I hate it so much. I am making progress, though. And, you know, you can't put your whole life story on a piece of cardboard. I don't know what to write on that little piece of cardboard to communicate how desperate I am, how honest and earnest I am. Like I said, I'm not out prostituting myself. I'm not out stealing. I'm just trying to survive with a whole lot of problems. And, you know, I'm not taking the money and going to get wasted or spend it on cigarettes or whatever. I'm just trying to eat. I'm trying to pay bills, you know. Yes, I live in a tool shed, but it's not free. I do have to pay to live there, you know. There are utilities. I have to eat. In Texas, you only get 3 months of food stamps, and that's it. You know, there was some sort of class that I was supposed to go take, but I was in a mental institution at the time. And I have the paperwork and everything, and that's not good enough. And apparently, even if I hadn't been there, I still would have been cut off after 3 months. So, Texas is hard. America is hard. It's hard being poor in the world, but, you know, I grew up thinking that there was a safety net for people like me. I didn't think of, you know, the safety net being for people like me at the time because I was a kid and I thought I had a future, but this is what it turned out to be, and there's no safety net. That safety net is a myth, and if it does exist at all, it's really hard to get to. It's like the promised land. I don't know, guys. I wish there was a way that I could have put into words what it's like, and I guess that's what I'm trying to do. It's going to take a long time to tell this whole story, and I hope that you stay tuned, and I hope that you watch the videos. I don't know if this is something that people care about or not, but it's my story, and I'm gonna tell it, and I hope people hear it. I hope people see me. I hope people hear me. I hope people care. I guess that's it for now. Again, I wish that I could fit my whole story on that piece of cardboard for someone to read in the 30 seconds, 45 seconds that they're at a red light. I wish there was some way that we could all convey to the people sitting in the cars what we're going through. And beyond people sitting in the cars, you know, people in general, I wish that they could hear our voice, and that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to give a voice to the people on the street. If you ever have a few minutes and you're in a town where there are homeless people, what town doesn't have homeless people? Think about picking one out, you know, the most interesting looking one, and saying, hey, would you like to come have lunch with me? I'd like to hear your story. I guarantee you'll hear some good stories. If you're ever bored, give it a try. Well, I guess that's it for now, guys. I hope I have enough in this video clip and the one I recorded earlier to put together into something decent. If you have any questions or any ideas for any story times that you would like to hear, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed hearing my story time and my thoughts in general. Yeah, let me know what you think of the project so far in the comments, what you would like to see more of, less of, in general. And thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and like and comment. Share these videos. Get conversations going. Thanks, guys. Thanks for hearing me. Thanks for seeing me. And God bless every one of you. This is Damie, signing off. I hope to see you again. You know, tomorrow is never promised, so until next time, God bless you. Amen.